Joe Dunn back at InfoCision Stadium as he spent a few minutes with defensive coordinator Matt Feeney. And Coach is saying in football, offense sells the tickets, but defense wins the championships. So put a lot of burden on you guys. But give the fans a little update how the defense looks right now.
Defense has done really well so far. I think we've really set a standard of excellence of what we'd want to see. And we really hone in on practice execution equals game reality. And that means, day in and day out, each rep that we get, making the most of that rep, treating it as if it's a game rep. And so our guys have really developed and really understood the scheme and what offenses will try to do to attack us. And so our guys are communicating at a really high level now, and that's really good to see. Had some players really step up and fill some positions, like our senior players and Alvin Davis and John Lako. Those guys are really showing up and becoming leaders of this unit. And I think our defensive staff and Coach Arthur are very excited about that.
Of course, you got Lako on the second level and Davis back on the third level. What about that defensive line? You brought in a lot of new guys just prior to camp. Have they been able to move in and give you some veteran leadership and maybe some new blood in there?
Absolutely. We have Devontae Jest, who's been here for a while, and he's had a whole bunch of success here throughout camp. And him and Dylan Meeks have really, and Josh Ward have really kind of grouped together and been the guys that have been here before and understand what it takes to be a great program here in the University of Akron and Northeast Ohio. So they really helped us set the standard early on in spring, and then transitioning into the summer and fall camp. Added a couple new guys, some freshmen and things like that. And, they've really bought into the system and what we're trying to do on the defensive line. But more importantly, our standard of excellence on the defensive line, everything starts from there. Okay. We won't succeed as a defense if our defensive line doesn't succeed. And so Brian Cochran, our defensive line coach, and Shelton Felton, our outside linebackers coach, have done a phenomenal job developing those guys, getting them to understand the scheme and be really physical. Our guys have bought into killing the run and that mentality, and those guys are really honing in on that. And so Jest and Meeks and Michael Scott, a guy who came in mid-year, and some of these other new defensive linemen, they've really kind of stepped up in their role and given us some really good time.
I know the fans always like to watch our interviews with the coaches and players. Can you give us a couple names and maybe some of those young freshmen that have come in, worked their way into the two deep, and maybe worked their way into the starting lineup?
Absolutely, and we've had several of those guys. In the back end, you've got Randy Cochran, guy who's coming in out of Norcross, Georgia, coming in and playing really well for us out at corner. And we get guys like Tutu, who's coming in playing some safety. Tyson McDonald. Those guys are getting a lot of playing time out there. Old Sip. Keyshawn Swanson, we call him Sip because originally he was from Mississippi. Sure. He's done a phenomenal job for us in the back end. And then in the linebacker room, we've got some, new guys coming in. Demetric Watts is really kind of showing his own and proving what he can do. He's a guy that's done really well for us. And then in the front end, really it's Bryce Wilson. Is one of the incoming freshmen that's really kind of separated himself as far as the new group of freshmen there. And then we've got a couple other transfers who are just, getting into the mix. But it's mainly those guys that I've mentioned before that are really giving us what we want on the front end.
Coach, final question. Looks like you're going to be in that base 3-4 with some variations depending on who you're going to play, right?
I think at the end of the day, we're going to have multiple fronts. And so 4 down, 3 down, whatever you want to call it, we bounce back and forth. And I think by game plan, we'll be in what we want to be in. We consider ourselves a multiple defense. And that means that, from play to play or game to game, we're going to look a little different. And we're going to try to put our guys in the best situation possible to be successful.
Coach, I'm looking forward to watching your defense play, especially against Illinois in that season opener. So thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Matt Feeney, offense or defensive coordinator, linebacker coach. A reminder, if you'd like to buy season tickets, former group outing, individual game tickets, give our ticket office a call, 888-99-AKRON. For the Zips Digital Network, I'm Joe Dunn.